Hey folks, so prior to doing the final 10 live shows, the best live shows, live show memories of my life, which I'm going to do hopefully this weekend, I just wanted to do or say a few words about the passing of longtime Slobberbone guitarist Jess Barr. I was in LA this week starting a new job. On Tuesday, I was staying at an Airbnb, and I stayed at the Airbnb all day because just got a lot of paperwork, a lot of stuff to read, and setting up computer and all that stuff. So I was not in the office on Tuesday, which, when I heard this news, a good friend of mine sent me a text letting me know that Jess Barr had passed away. And I didn't even, he's so young, he's 46. I did not know Jess Barr personally. May have met once or twice, but he was instrumental in a lot of the most important musical moments I've had in my life. Some joyous, some that brought my family together when we otherwise didn't spend a lot of time together. And then the one show that I've talked about and actually wrote a short story about, which I put in my memoir that I say I'm going to publish and never do. And I'm just going to tell pieces of that story as well as a few others on this video. I found out Tuesday that Jess had died of a heart attack, apparently in his sleep. He leaves a wife and I believe a 15-year-old son. I believe it's a boy. If I have that wrong, I apologize. Jess was the lead guitar player, as I mentioned, in Slobberbone, who in the 1990s and early 2000s were right up there. I think I said many times they're the best live band maybe I've ever seen. I mean, in that period, there was so much great live music. Marat was incredible live for a few years. Early Wilco with Jay Bennett, they were just a tremendous band. Sunvolt with the Boquist brothers and Mike Hydorn. Old 97s are great. But Slobberbone, there was something different, something special, something really special. And when I thought about telling the story, I remembered a Joe Pernice quote that I saw, I believe it was on a YouTube video or something, maybe 10 years ago, when he did that record with the gentleman from Teenage Fan Club. Pernice said something, I think they were being interviewed in Toronto, where I believe Pernice lives now. And Pernice said something to the effect of, music can save your life. And music, look, it is my life. But when I heard him say that, I thought about this Slobberbone show that I'm about to talk about. And I'll just get into it. 1999, I was 25 years old, and I was going to South by Southwest for the first time. I worked at MTV at the time. I was not going for, MTV gave me a badge, but I wasn't really going for them. I was going for fun. It wasn't a work trip. I paid for the whole thing. But I think I had a credential, an MTV credential, so I could get into some shows or something. I can't remember. But that period of my life was very rocky. It was really the first time that I was aware that I was depressed. And as somebody who, as folks know, I'm on the board of 2 mental health nonprofits. we lost my brother to mental illness. As someone, and I volunteered in 2000 at NAMI in Manhattan. I've just read so many books. Mental health is a huge part of my life. One, because I've experienced it, and I've obviously experienced loss as a result of it. And I always say, when I'm talking about my own mental health history, that I'm very fortunate. Depression has only come on a few times heavily. It's been 8 or 9 years since I've had an episode, so to speak. And I now have tools, so many tools, because I have been so fortunate to have, my own financial resources to have a therapist, and when I needed medication, to be on medication. And I just did a lot of exploration and learned a lot. And I now feel pretty well equipped with how to deal with different mental health challenges, which I think all of us, or close to all of us, have either experienced on our own or experienced in our families. So 1999, I had no tools. I had been going to therapy when I was younger, after my parents got divorced. I had some abandonment issues. But when I was 25, I was coming out of a relationship, my first really serious relationship in my adulthood. It was a couple-year relationship that I won't get into details, but I broke it off. I just got into details. I don't know why I shared that. But I just didn't handle it well emotionally. I was not old enough. It was raw. I was a lot of internal struggle, which I don't really think was about the relationship. It was about probably stuff from my childhood and stuff that Lane and I, experienced and so forth. So this could go on forever, so I'm going to try and get to the point, because this is about Jess. I went to Austin, and I was in a bad way. I didn't sleep the first 2 nights. I was really confused, and I was staying in a hotel room with a bunch of friends, and I left because I couldn't sleep, and my anxiety was really high, and I had no money back then. And I got like a hotel room half an hour outside of Austin. And I remember I got the hotel room, I think it was the third day, maybe it was the second day, I don't know, it's hazy. And somebody, I think it was my friends from Philadelphia, who convinced me to go to a show at Club DeVille. And Slobberbone, I think, was headlining. And I was really reluctant. As I said, the exhaustion was, and I was struggling. And I went to the Slobberbone show, and I remember I walked in, I partied like crazy back then, and even, despite the exhaustion and depression, started drinking out of a keg, not directly from the keg, but pouring it into a cup. And I remember it was raining, and Club DeVille was outdoors, but I think they had a tent over the stage to block the rain. And at parts of the set it was pouring, and I just remember somehow I found my way to the front of the audience, right on the sort of right near the stage, and all the angst and sorrow and such and uncertainty that I had been experiencing might have been during the song Barrel Chested. I know during Powderfinger, they covered Neil Young's Powderfinger, and I lost it. I was bawling because I was so happy, and it had been so long since I'd felt something like that. I remember turning around and looking at my friend from Philadelphia, and I had tears in my eyes, and I think she knew why. So I have always said that show, Slobberbone at Club DeVille, 1999, South by Southwest, meets the statement that Joe Pernice, you know, we don't know what our fate's going to be, but I just know that that show convinced me that life could be incredible. And Jess Barr was playing lead guitar, just a powerhouse of a musician. I remember I was always so intimidated by Jess because he's like such a good-looking, cool rock star. If somebody said in that period who was the coolest guy across every band that you went to see, I wouldn't even have hesitated, and I would have said Jess Barr. Which is one of the reasons why I never spoke to him, because I think I was just intimidated by him, which I've learned over the years there was no reason at all to be intimidated by him, because he was apparently a very sweet man. He was in Slobberbone until 2014, I believe, and then he opened up two bars called the Twilight Lounge, one in Dallas, one in Fort Worth. And I had always said, next time I go through Dallas, I'm going to stop in there and I'm finally going to talk to Jess. And I've always, I think I've Brent Best, who's the lead singer of Slobberbone, who is a friend. We don't talk all that often, but I've talked about Bennett, my dog, is on the cover of his one solo record. Brent came and played at my brother Lane's memorial. I've had many drunken late nights with Brent in Austin and maybe even in New York City. And we keep in touch over text and social media here and there. And he's like a brother to me, even though we don't talk that. It's a lot to unpack here. He's just one of the warmest people I've ever met in my life. Smart, caring, great taste. He didn't treat us like some faceless fans. He treated us as friends. And I spoke to the bass player Brian Lane a couple times, I think at Brownies. I think it was the infamous night when Slobberbone opened for the Drive-By Truckers. I think Mike Cooley from the Drive-By Truckers got naked on stage. Or did Patterson Hood? I don't know. It was a crazy night. Brownies, which is no longer there, no longer in New York City, in the East Village. This is the early 2000s. So if anybody in Jess Barr's family or friends sees this, I feel silly even saying this, given that I didn't know Jess. But that day, Jess played a huge part in taking somebody who was in pretty bad spirits, and making them believe again, I guess is the best way to put it. And I remember I left that show, went back to my hotel, and I slept like 10 straight hours. Got up, I don't remember if I went to shows that night or if I just then stayed up through the morning, and had a wonderful following few days. And it's all because of Brent, Jess, Tony, and Brian. So I can't thank you guys enough. I'm so sorry for the loss of just a wonderful talent. I've been learning more about Jess. Apparently he got a full ride to UT Austin, which is a great school, and turned it down to be in Slobberbone. And for me, thank God he did that. Because man, did he offer some gifts to his fans. I could go on and on. Saw Slobberbone with my younger brother, John, in Brooklyn on one of the best concert days of my life. We saw Wilco and Sonic Youth in Central Park, and then took the subway to, I don't think this club's there anymore, Southpaw, and saw Slobberbone, and just a great time with my younger brother. And I'll leave it at that. Jess Barr, next time I'm going through Dallas, I am going to stop into the Twilight, and I'll tell, I don't know, the bartenders, or I think you had a co-owner, how much your music not just meant to me, but how much it helped me. So to Jess's family, again, I'm sorry for your loss, and may Jess rest in peace. Take care.